Hi, my name is Elisa and welcome back to my channel where I do mid-size styling for women, and I'm also recording my low buy year for 2020. Today's video is going to be about my style evolution over the past 15 years from 2005 to today, coupled by how I've become more accepting of my body and gaining confidence to wear different types of clothes, to really express myself more, where my personal style is so intertwined with how confident I am with my body at that time. The biggest thing is probably the maturity that comes with age. And I'm not saying that, ooh, look at me, I'm so mature. Your identity is less coupled with the appearance of your visuals, your face, your body. And that's something that takes a very long time for us to develop, especially women, because we're constantly being told by the media that we need to look a certain way to feel happy, that we need to do all these things to make ourselves better for society in some way. How we view clothing, fashion, a force of good and bad, because it can express so much individuality, but at the same time, it can really make us conform. And I just wanted to use myself as a narrative to show how this is true and offer it up as reflection so that maybe you'll go look through your photos too and you can identify really big turning points in your life or be on the journey to body acceptance. I'm gonna start with elementary, middle school. I don't think I had a lot of diversity around me in terms of bodies. I always felt too big, and looking back at the pictures now, it's crazy to me that I felt so insecure at such a young age. I remember always loving shopping because I would go with my mom, and that's what we did as our bonding exercise, and she would let me go around and pick out things myself. From that way, I dressed myself from a very young age, and I can see that already I'm really into monochrome outfits. I have two pink on pink outfits. I loved skirts. I wore green on green, orange on orange, and then there was the phase that I was into cargo pants. Maybe it was a popular 2000s thing. I don't know. Comment down below if you wore cargo pants too. But I already started to do weird things where I would make like chicken arm poses or put my arms behind my back so that you couldn't see my arms. And I also remember when Chinese relatives comment on me, you look okay because your face doesn't grow fat, which is kind of a backhanded compliment to say that like your face is okay, but the rest of your body is very round. And I think I internalized that from a very young age. So that really affected the way that I posed in pictures and clothing choices that I was making at that age. But I think here I was still pretty open to it. I felt so mature wearing this. I really love this top. It's like very flowy. I already wore white pants. I remember my mom making comments about how I looked good in those white pants, and I felt large in them already, but looking at it now, they're like loose on me. I was definitely just insecure at the time. That was probably the first time I really started dieting, even though we were on a trip where you have a tour guide and they usually eat meals all together at the hotel. We had one night free where we would go out to eat on our own, and I was gonna have French food for the first time in France. And I decided that I was on a diet and I needed to eat steamed vegetables. Can you imagine going to Paris for the first time and seeing all the like lovely things out there, croissants, like pot-au-feu, like I don't know, bouillabaisse and all of that stuff, and you're like, no, I'm gonna get steamed broccoli. And for a 12-year-old kid, that is so shocking to me now. My parents were just like, oh, like, you know, have your broccoli. So I think at the time I was shopping a lot like Tommy Hilfiger, Zara, The Gap, Esprit. It's kind of a double-edged sword because I remember really hating shopping when I was really young, and then there was a turning point where I got tall enough and could start fitting into like adult clothes that I could basically go into any store with her and I would be able to try on clothes as well. But then I remember I was in 6th grade and we had a non-uniform day and I wore this skirt from Gap, and I was such a tiny kid at the time. But what really hit me then was that day my teacher wore the same skirt as me and I felt so big, which is really weird because I knew I liked shopping at like adult stores and feeling so adult. But then at the same time, I also felt really big because no one else could do that yet. Everybody else is still shopping at Gap Kids or the Children's Place. And here I was wearing the same skirt as my teacher, and it felt really embarrassing and I felt really big. And 15 years later, that moment still sticks with me. So I've talked about arms, and on top of arms, I also didn't want to show my legs. So I basically never wore shorts ever. I would always wear jeans. Like you can see in these photos, I'm in Japan in the summer in like August, and it is hot. I wear those capris that like at least hit past the knee. I was 12 or 13. I was probably around 120 pounds. And I remember one day in class, there was this boy and someone had mentioned that he weighed like 160 pounds. And that to me was so shocking. I was like, 160 pounds? That's so heavy. I didn't say this, but in my head I thought it, and even that is like terrible that I've internalized this, because I remember my mom used to order People magazine, and People magazine every single year had this large transformations. Woman goes from 200 pounds to 130 pounds or 180 pounds to whatever. And to me, 200 pounds or 180 pounds was just like unthinkable, because everybody around me was 80, 90 pounds as a kid. And even like the parents I knew or the like Korean dramas that I would watch, everybody was 100 pounds. And there was this like glorified, like 45 kilos is like the right weight for a woman to be. And I just super internalized that. And it was just so shocking that when I thought, oh, I'm already 120 pounds, I'm heavier than what an adult should be, it really stuck with me as something that was so taboo and so wrong, and I felt so guilty. Next step is high school. So I went from being in Canada to going to boarding school in Andover, Massachusetts. Because looking at the photos now, I realize how much of a fob I was. I was so into Korean drama, so into like K-pop music, that my fashion really reflected that. That's when my parents moved to Shanghai, and I pretty much only did shopping in Shanghai, and I bought a lot of the like Japanese Korean fashion, and because I was so into that culture, I didn't even think that I was different from other people. It was super preppy that people wore Vineyard Vines, that J. Crew. I'm always wearing this like little bolero. I like this type of like doctor bag, little hat, these like chiffon dresses, always wearing leggings under my dresses because I couldn't show my legs, wearing like big bows. Oh, Oxford heels. I think high school is probably when I started to edit my photos. So even as I look at these photos now, I think there's a very high possibility that I used the liquify tool in Photoshop. Like I've been using Photoshop ever since middle school because I did a lot of graphic design. I think at the end of high school, I probably weighed the heaviest I ever did in my life at that point, because I was going to a boarding school with like a buffet style meal every single day, and I previously had only been fed by my parents, like portion controlled, and now is the first time that I could eat whatever I want. I think a lot of people feel this way when they go to college for the first time, and that's how they get their freshman 15, but I got like my boarding school 15, 30. I don't really remember where I started, but if I started probably around 130, 40 pounds, I probably ended up at 160, 170. After graduating from high school, I was going to the gym every single day, and that was the first time that I did weights in a gym, and I was doing boxing at the time, and it wasn't a very strict diet in any way. I was eating whatever I wanted, but because it was just the first time I had done like daily workouts every single day, I lost like 20, 30 pounds that summer. When you lose 10% of your body weight, people really notice. And I remember that people were nicer to me, and I was noticing people giving me compliments more, like random strangers. And it's so dangerous when you start to feel worth from these things. So now we're gonna go into college. I think oddly, I became way more Americanized all of a sudden. If you look at my photos now, I'm a lot more confident in wearing like shorter skirts, and I'm still covering up my arms all the time. So you can see that I'm wearing this like white little blazer thing. I'm wearing like shirts over my skirts and tying up with a belt. I tried to look for lacy ones so that you could kind of see this dress but still could cover my arms. But I started getting like more preppy, so I was wearing J. Crew. I liked wearing riding boots. I have like Cambridge satchel bag. Wore a lot of blazers. I think this is when I started to yo-yo diet, because I had that like positive reinforcement that I felt really good when I was thinner. And that's so dangerous, because then, like, you know, inevitably your first year in college, you're stressed out about schools, you're like snacking, you're going out late to eat with friends, etc. And I started to pack some of the weight back. And then like the summer I went home, I was doing some internships, and outside of my internships, I just went to the gym a lot again, and then I would lose the weight again. And that just like basically kept happening every single year in college. I would gain some weight during the year, and then I would lose some weight at the end of the year over the summer. And that started like a really bad cycle of yo-yo dieting and just being bad for my self-confidence. But I think this is probably just the time where I was really into fast fashion. I bought a lot of stuff from like Forever 21, from H&M, from Zara, and was just always like trying out new tops that I thought were unique and cool. And I don't think I own any of these things anymore, with the exception of this like silk kimono thing from Zara. I still have that, and I still really like that one. Now we're in the second year of college, so this is when I cut my hair really short. I like dyed it red, but I felt really cool, and so I started liking more edgy things. I think this is the year, if you remember, in Zara, where they had a lot of like leather paneling, like studs, a lot of military stuff, and I was so into all of that. I think like oddly in college I wore a lot more heels than I ever wore ever again. I love this Zara combination, this skirt. I was really into Tods at the time, like my orange Tods. Oh, and equipment blouses. I loved equipment blouses. This is like one of my all-time favorite Zara dresses. It's like this handkerchief print, and I got it fixed so many times as I was gaining weight, and every single time, like I think the like neck hole is really small, or I would like put it on, and because it was 100% mulberry silk back when Zara actually made things that were better quality, and it would always tear, and I would always get it fixed because I love this dress, and at some point it was too small for me. I also remember at this time I got the Stuart Weitzman 50/50s, and I remember seeing it on Miranda Kerr, I believe, and thinking it looks so good on her. Obviously she's a supermodel, and I got that shoe, and for like probably 6 months I would take them out of the box, try them on, and then be like, oh no, I feel fat in these, and then take them off. And it's so crazy to me that I did that I just like didn't return it, or that I kept wanting to fit into it. And that became a really common thing for me, which was because I was yo-yo dieting so much, I was constantly too big or too small for some of my clothes, and that I would just keep all of the clothes that were too small for me around so that I would fit into them later, because I knew I was gonna lose weight and fit into them again. And or I would start like buying clothes that I liked that were too small for me on purpose, with the hopes of like fitting into them, and that was also just a really vicious cycle. And I remember feeling so excited that I fit into a small at Zara for the first time, which is so stupid because I think it had a lot of weight on me for some reason that I could fit into a small, because I was never a small. So the next year I went to Paris. Paris was the beginning of my tweed phase. I was like super into tweed from Zara, so I bought like a lot of those like matching Zara sets, the like dresses, tweed blazers. Oh, I remember this is the year I was really into wearing pleather pants. Here's me in that, what I associate to be Parisian hat with leather pants and leather shoes. I really love this outfit. I wore like this nice dress, draped it over with a scarf, and then had a little hat. Very, very chic. Because I was an economics major, I felt like a very strong need to look businessy. So I wore a lot of like blouses and a lot of blazers, I think. So I remember the first 2 years of after college, I was constantly dyeing my hair. So my hair was like blonde, and then it was silver, and then it was purple, and then it became like this blonde balayage. And if you've had dyed hair before, you know there's a lot of upkeep to it. I'm pretty pale, so when I had blonde hair, I felt really washed out if I didn't like do my eyes, like do some sort of like bronzer. I needed to like be very cool. And so like here's me, I wore like a leather jacket all the time. Also really into wearing these type of like lace skirts with like knee-high boots and my leather jacket. Because of my hair, I was in between liking a cool edgy look and then being between liking like a bohemian look, because I had just moved to California and like that's what I associate with California, which is so funny because I'm in Northern California, not Southern California. So Northern California, like really just wearing like leggings, sweatshirt. So I think then my hair was super damaged and I was tired of toning it all the time and like upkeeping the blonde, and so I cut it really short. I really embraced having black hair again. I'm starting to get into a lot of Club Monaco. I liked buying things that were made out of cotton, linen, silk, cashmere. Oh, and I was really into embroidered jeans for a couple of years. Like the first year that I wore two pieces, and I think before that I was really so self-conscious about my body that I would never wear a two-piece, and I finally started to become okay with it. I really love those like Mansour Gabrielle hat bags. Love scarf prints. Really, ever since that red dress, I've been like on the lookout for another scarf print dress that's even marginally as beautiful. I just really started to like prints. I'm wearing a lot of prints. I still wear blouses sometimes, but usually with like very casual jeans to dress it down. I do still wear sweater skirt combos a lot, but I think I like midi skirts a lot more than I like mini skirts. Here's a rare picture of me wearing shorts. I think I got more used to wearing shorts in recent years going on vacation to hot places. I gave up and I am now embracing the shorts life. You can see that these are like mom shorts though. I feel like I'm always going between two things, which is like dressing a little bit too old and then trying to overcompensate and dress really cute, and then also feeling like I want to be cool, and so like wearing these like cool clothes. So I'm always oscillating between the three. But I think what's been really in common with how I do shopping recently is I already have all the basics to pair things with, and so I just try to look for really unique pieces that I think are cool, that make me feel really great. And those are the only types of things that I pick up, which are things that scream me in some way. Like I feel like not everybody would want to wear this sweater. Like it's got like angry tigers on it, and it has this like really crazy print color and like just a lot of stuff, but I love it and I think this is so me. In 2019, I think I got more into Instagram brands, so I bought a lot more Realization Par. I bought a lot of Reformation. Kind of going back to what I just said about finding really unique items. So here's like a cardigan that I think is really beautiful. It has jaguar print on the back. I really like my leather skirt. Oh, this is one of my favorite dresses. It's a Ghani dress that has a scarf print again. I got these Chanel boots and they're kind of luxury Doc Martens. They have velvet and they have quilting and pearls and chain details to them, and they look super cool, but I usually pair them with skirts and tweed and dresses. These two outfits are probably me on a normal day, which is just some sort of cardigan with like loose jeans. So I think right now the biggest things about me and my style are going to be that midi skirt, ruffle silhouette, and then just items with a lot of cool details, ruffle paneling or like really cool print. Just something that it's easy enough to pair with a lot of things, but also really stands out as an item on its own. And those are the types of items that I've been buying and loving. At the end of the day, I don't want to be boring. I want to be fun. I want to have unique pieces. Summary, what has made me feel more confident over time, like I said in the beginning of the video, has really been time itself, that you really mature with age and your body is less of the only thing you identify with. And I can say that from a very place of privilege, because while I don't think that I'm, model thin, the view of me is still average to a lot of people. Like I don't go out on the street and I don't get a lot of hate for the way that I look. I conform to a lot of very normal standards, and that to me is a lot of privilege in of itself. But I do think that, at least for me personally, from when I had insecurity when I was younger to how I am now, a big part of that is just maturity over time. And there are other things that I care about in life that aren't specifically how other people view me because I'm in like a school setting where it's really important. Or I'm also like at a tech company where I don't wear makeup, right, every single day to work, and I can just like walk in my activewear and it's like so normal. Personally, these are things that made me feel confident. I'm not saying that these are things that will definitely make you feel confident, but they are: one, not wearing makeup, two, wearing clothes. For me, if you put something on and you don't immediately feel confident in it, you don't feel sexy in it, then that's very hard for you to start feeling sexy and confident in that item. Whereas there's a difference between when you originally put it on and you felt really great, sexy, cool, and then you went out and then someone said something bad about it, and then you felt, oh no, like, do I actually not look good in this? I think that's a point where you should feel like, no, I'm wearing this for me. I felt good in it, so I'm gonna keep feeling good in it, and I'm not gonna take that feedback that other people gave me as a reason why I shouldn't be able to wear it. But there's that difference between you putting something on and just immediately like not feeling good in it, and it's hard. At that point, at least, there's a journey that needs to be made with ourselves in order to feel better and happy in our bodies, because it's totally a mental standpoint that we need to become more accepting and loving. I think revisiting pictures is super important because it just puts things into perspective for me. Like going through all of these photos, especially the ones of me when I was a lot younger, I just remember feeling so big, and looking at them now, I just think, wow, like, I feel so bad for my 10-year-old self that I felt that way. And I felt so bad that I couldn't have normalized the way that I looked. And I think when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we only see like that one image of us. Like, God forbid I'm in a skinny mirror, or like when I look in the mirror, I tuck in and I like try to make myself look how I imagine myself to look. And that's just not realistic. Like, I started letting people take candid photos of me a little bit more, and then going back to them, not immediately, because immediately I know I'm just gonna like pick on myself when I see a picture of me where like my stomach is out or like I have a double chin or whatever. But then after some time I look at it and I think, oh, like it's for some reason a little bit more normal for me because I've had some time and I'm not like immediately feeling that way about how I look at this moment. Another thing is following bloggers that are more similar to you in size. This has made such a difference for me. It just normalizes things for me a bit, and I really love the people who take photos. This is me at the same day, different angles. This is me in the sun and in the shade, and these are my cellulite, and this is like the natural shape of my body, and this is me like sitting up tall and sitting with a tummy because I'm slouched. Like, it's just so important to see these images over and over again to erase the images that I'm so used to, which is perfect posture, really thin abs, like whatever, right? No one looks like that in real life. We all are moving around, doing things and jiggling and whatever, and that's just so important to frequently inundate ourselves with those type of images, because then we'll realize that everything we've been looking at before was a lie and like it's not real, and that we just can be more accepting of ourselves in that way. The next thing is sharing my insecurities. So this is the hardest thing to do, but something that we have so much control over. You've watched Brene Brown. Being vulnerable is what this is really about. It's about sharing an insecurity with somebody that is important to you. And even though you know like that person is probably going to take it well, you're also still very insecure, and like you need to be vulnerable to be able to tell that. I think that's like the perfect situation where it's really gonna help you grow. So I remember I have always been very anxious about telling my weight to people. A couple of friends and I were sharing a spreadsheet with each other, and they were tracking their weight like fluctuations as we were working out more. So I don't really try to weigh myself anymore regularly. I might check in every once in a while still, and I'm working on that because I don't think it's healthy as long as I know I'm healthy and that I'm eating well and I'm exercising. But being able to tell a couple of my closest friends my weight was really relieving for me. Being able to put on a spreadsheet that I weigh this much and for it to be, that's just the truth, and it has no extra meaning to it. It's just a number, and being able to share that and not get a response to it is really great, actually. And it's crazy because I'm engaged now, and I dated my fiance for 5 years, and for the longest time I would not tell him my weight, and I was so insecure about it because I'm heavier than him and he's much taller than me. He's 6 foot and I'm 5'6", and I'm 10 pounds heavier than him. You know what? It doesn't matter, and he doesn't care. All he wants me to do is be healthy, to work out. And that was so relieving for me. It was in my head, and I could finally share it, and that it wasn't a burden over me anymore. And I think that's why now when I make YouTube videos, I'm okay with just putting it on the thumbnail and just proudly owning that it's just a number, and putting the number out there so that it is a number and that it doesn't have real ramifications to me anymore, and I don't give it value. Those are the steps that I took to feel more confident in my body. And I think for other people, what we can do in society is also continue to not give value to like these numbers and to how people look by, you know, if you're complimenting your friends, things that they worked for or qualities about them that aren't related to outward appearance. So I think it's fine to say, oh, I love your outfit. It's, you really paired cool things, or this is a really cool top. Those are all very objective things to me, which is not like, wow, you look so hot in that outfit. I think that's kind of dangerous because it's going back to about the idea of the body. Friend and I were talking about this recently, which is like, what if a friend has been working out a lot and they've suddenly lost a bunch of weight, and when you work that hard, you want to get positive feedback. You know, you work really hard for it, so obviously you want someone to be like, damn girl, you a snack. But instead I could really be proud of their work ethic and be like impressed by the discipline you had to work out every single day, or something that isn't really intrinsic to their worth or value, and then their body and outwardly appearance, because those are a lot of things that we can't change, like genetically, things that are probably just so intertwined with like how we view ourselves and like our mental health, and I just don't want to exacerbate and perpetuate that anymore. So I hope you enjoyed my style evolution. I think it really ended up being more of a talk about body positivity and confidence, and how I've grown through the past few years. And I am definitely still working on it. I'm still working on wearing sleeveless shirts. I'm still working on wearing more shorts. I'm still working on being comfortable in a bikini, but I think that it's a journey and I'm getting closer, and I'm so excited that I'm where I am right now. And I hope that this was helpful to you too. Comment down below if you've had a similar journey to mine, if you have other tips about how to be more accepting of your body, and I'll see you next time. Bye.